So we are going to do a simple workshop using Thunkable. But in this workshop, we will be using a Google Spreadsheet. So where we'll be having the data in your Google Spreadsheet and how you can actually use your Thunkable app to extract the information from your Google Spreadsheet. So this feature may not be useful in your app development, but definitely you all can use it. Like for example, you want to view the committee or the place or the location or things like that. All right, so how we will start off first is you open your Google Chrome. Then if you're already logged in into your Google account, wait on, maybe I should would this be better? If you think if you need to enlarge further, just let me know. So we're going to click on the apps, Google Apps icon here, and we're going to open a new sheet, Google Spreadsheet. So of course, then you'll open Google Sheets. Then you're going to click start a new spreadsheet. So click on the blank start a new spreadsheet, and then here you have it. You have the empty spreadsheet. Okay, if anyone is unable to follow, please do let me know immediately. Don't wait until I finish step 10, then you ask me to go back to step 1. It'll be difficult. So here in this spreadsheet, what are the things that we want to include? Just for the sake of example, let's assume that we're going to put information about places. So maybe we can rename this to places. You're just naming it to places. And here in the first row, you're going to put place. These are the columns, what are the place. Always the first row, imagine that to be as your data header. Always what are each column means. So you can include an image of that place. Then you can put in some description about that place. Then you can actually include the latitude and also longitude. Now this, of course, just for the sake of the workshop, we are including this information. Now you could include any information as you want. So as we go on, as we go through the workshop, then you will understand. Once you have understood how to actually extract those data out, then it'll be easier for you. So let's say the places, let us actually put 3 places here. So maybe the first one, I'm just going to put decentrum. The second one, unit 10 sports arena. Yes. Okay, play. Union Sports Arena, and maybe another one I put Unit and library. This is just an example, example of 3 places. Now here, the images of those places. Now remember, this is not limited to places. You can put people or whatever. This is an example. So images, whenever you want to include an image, we need to include the URL of that image. So we can actually go to Google, just try to find decentrum. Okay, you can go to images. So there's a lot of images. Maybe look at this one. Okay, this is one decentrum. So what you have to do is you have to right click and do you see that there is various option? Save image, copy image address. That is what we want, copy image address. So you copy the image address, and if you go to here, you can just paste it. See, it is a URL. But this one, let me see the so under format, I'm just going to put a wrap. Just wrapping up this one. So everyone able to follow? I just copy paste the image URL. So likewise, you can do the same for Unit10 Sports Arena and Unit10 Library. Wait. Hold on. Don't do that yet. Hold on. So while you are searching for the decentrum, we copied the image. So you can put a description. You can put what food. Now whatever description that you can put, I'm just putting. If you want to find the word wrap, you can actually go to the format, and there's wrapping, so you can wrap. Okay, do you see that there's latitude and longitude? Latitude and longitude. So since we are already searching about decentrum image just now, so if you go on the maps, so you'll be able to see the decentrum maps, right? So let's say if you scrolling. So if you right click on your map anywhere on your map, do you see that the first thing is on the latitude and longitude? You will get, if you right click anywhere, it will show you the latitude and longitude on the map. So this is decentrum. So I'm just going to right click here. Do you see this? The latitude and longitude. So if you click on that, you will see it's copied to clipboard. So you go here. You can actually paste it. Of course, it pastes both. So we're just going to make sure you remove the comma. Everyone okay up to this point? So we have the place, we have the image of the place, a description, we are given description, and there is a latitude and longitude of the place. You can do this to any place. So next we are going to do for Unit10 Sports Arena. So we need the picture. Let's see, Unit10 Sports Arena. Okay, got some picture here. So I'm just going to click on this. And remember, you need to copy the image address. And you paste it here. Again, I'm going to do the format of wrapping. So I've wrapped the URL. And then you're going to give description. Sports activities. And you need to have the latitude and the longitude. So if you go here, you go to the maps. You can see that there's actually already there's a pin drop right on the Sports Arena, but it's okay. I can click anywhere also. then you will see the longitude and longitude. Click on that, it will copy automatically. And then paste it here. So I'm just going to cut this, put it here. Make sure when you, just now when I copy and paste, it copies both longitude and longitude, right? Then I cut the longitude and I paste it in the longitude format, but don't forget to remove the comma. So same thing you can do with Unity and library. So Unity and library. Okay, it's on picture here, Unity and library. So I'm going to copy the image address and paste it here. Again, I'm going to do the wrapping, and here you can put study resources. And the same thing that we did, we want to get the longitude and longitude. So we check on the map. So you can see Unity and library is here. It's library, so just can right click, copy paste, paste it here. So you get like this. Everyone done? Okay, or okay. So this is your Google spreadsheet. It should be under your account. Make sure this account is the same account that you used to log in for the Thunkable. The same Google account. Is that okay? Can we go to Thunkable? So now when you go to Thunkable, you create a new app. So you can put, I'm just putting a short form, Thunkable Spreadsheet. So choose a category. Whatever. Oh, okay, hold on. I've reached my project limit. I need to delete some old project. Because the free one I can only create 10 apps, right? So I've already created 10, so that's why it shows me. So I'm just going to put name whatever name that you want. I'm just putting TK Thunkable Spreadsheet app. So just select one category. Make sure don't check this. Don't check this. If you check this, your interface will be different than what I'm showing. We're on okay? So just click on create. So everyone okay? Can I proceed? So this is your new app. So you have empty. So what we're going to do now is, under the components, there is one component that is known as data viewer list. Do you see this? Data viewer list. So if you click, what is that? Data viewer list component allows you to add, view and click on items in a configurable list layout. So drag and drop this data viewers list. Everyone done that? So when you look at the data viewers list properties, do you see that there is data source? You need to add the data source, right? Here is where you're going to link your Google Spreadsheet data to this app. This is how you do it. So click add. So of course you'll have empty. So you click on create new. So when you click on create new, it'll ask which data source that you want to select. We are going to select from Google Sheet. So click on that. Here is ask you to create a data source from a Google Sheet. We don't have to create, but we need to select a sheet. So click on select a sheet. Then what happens, of course, it will ask you your permission, whether do you allow Thunkable to access. So you need to allow. You need to give permission to Thunkable to access your Google spreadsheet. So when you click OK, it will open. So if it will show all the spreadsheets that is associated with your Google account. So we are going to choose places. That's what the spreadsheet we created, right? So select it and click on select. And then click on, you don't have to worry about this, which row your column headers are in. This is why I said your column headers must be in row 1, the first one. Which is the first row containing data, which is the second row. So this one you don't have to change. So now you click on create. So now you can see the data source is actually linked to your, there on the right hand side, it's linked to your Google spreadsheet. Is that okay? Now you can see that the list item layout, this part here, how you want your list items to be, your various rows to be viewed, layout. So if you click on here, there's various layout. This is how some various types of layout is. You can have, don't worry about what this title, subtitle and the content is about. You can actually select it at the side. So this is various way of layout that you can actually display. So let's say we choose this one, maybe we choose the first one, which means it has an image and it shows the title. You can also later on do like this, to have this kind of layout, to have the image, the small image, have the title, subtitle and the big image, and then some description. Yes, you can do however layout that you want, you can actually do. So if you're choosing this one, the first one, do you see that the data bindings, there are only 2. If you choose this, there are image, title, subtitle and text. Do you see the data binding? There are 4 now. Okay, so let's say we're going to just choose this one. So the data bindings, get image property from where? Which column? So basically the data bindings is you're linking back to the columns of your spreadsheet. So picture is under which column? So pick a data source first. Oh, I didn't add. Already added. It's 2 data source here. Are you able to select the picture? That's the main, let me just refresh this. I don't know why mine has 2. So the picture you select whenever you add, after you add, it will read out all your various columns. Are you able to see that? Are you able to select the picture and you drop down? Are you able to see all tables, right? No, it's asking me to do this. Usually whenever you select this, there's 2 data source here. There's something wrong with this page. That is the issue. Whenever you choose a place, it automatically will select the sheet. By default, there's only 1 sheet, right? Let's try to close this. All of you are able to do that, right? Okay, let me just delete this. Some bugs solved on. So why it's taking time? Okay, now the table comes. So you can see under the, oh sorry, let me just change the title. So you can see the pictures, where you want to get the pictures from, under the image column, right? Then the title me what is it that you want to display? We want to display the place, right, which has the name of the place, right? So if you click preview, how would it look like? Live test. Are you able to see like this? This is because why you are able to view like this, because this is the layout that you choose this now, right? Image with title released. You see, automatically appears like this. Does it appear like that in your Thunkable life? Yes. Fascinating. Everyone okay? So you are able to now, in your first screen, you are able to show the data which you are capturing from your Google Sheet, right? the image URL, the title description. As I mentioned earlier, you can later on explore with the title layout. If you want whatever that you want to put, then you will have more data bindings. But accordingly, you must have those data in your Google spreadsheet. Are you able to understand that? So now what we're going to do is we are having this kind of three. Why we have three? Because we have three rows only. So this is a simple one. So maybe now what we can do, whenever we click on any one of this, maybe we want it to go to another page where we have more information about this particular place. So what we can actually do is we can add a screen, a blank screen. You add a blank screen, and then this blank screen you can rename it into info screen. This is the information screen. So this info screen is where whenever you click on any one of those items on the data viewers list, it will bring to this info screen. So currently in your screen one, if you click also nothing will happen because you didn't add any functionality to it, right? So you need to now add the function to the data viewers list. Currently the data viewers list is only displaying. So let's go to the block. So why sometimes why so long? So on screen one, when you go to blocks, now we want to do the programming. That means earlier, remember we included the data viewers list, right? So when you click on this, do you see this first one? The component that we've included is the data viewers list. And it has 3 items, right? The data viewers list, we have 3 items. So what we want to do, whenever any one of the items is being clicked, we want it to go to the information page to display further information. So let's take this. Whenever the item is clicked. So whenever the item is clicked, what we want it to do, we want it to navigate to the next page, right? Which is the info screen page. So whenever it comes to navigating, that goes under control. So we're going to use navigate. We're going to navigate it to the info screen. Is that okay? There's still a bit more work to do here, but we'll come back to that. But at this point, do you understand the logic that we are doing? The data viewers list, when any of the item is being clicked, we want it to navigate to the info screen, which is the next screen. Is everyone okay? Okay or okay? So let's go to the info screen design. So in the info screen design, we can actually add label. We can add a label. So this first label could be the place label. Then you can add another label. This one can be the description label. So we can have the description label and also the place label. So description label is on top. So you want to change the hierarchy, drag it to on top. So the place label comes on top and the description comes here. So under the label for the place, you can actually put name of place, and under the description label, place description. Name of place, place description. This is the label. And we also want to include an image. So where is the image? Image on top. So that means there are three components in the info screen. So whenever you click on the first page, the one, you'll come to this screen where it will show you the image, bigger image of it, then the name of the place, and also the description. So for this image, maybe we can make it bigger. Let's say relative size, height is what, 90, yeah. 50. Okay, 50, height is okay. Width, relative size, let's choose, yeah, 90. So I have chosen the height as 50 and also the width as 90. Is that okay? Now what we're going to do in the block programming is we need to pass the data from the correct handle from the spreadsheet. So can we go to the blocks programming for the info screen? So here, whenever any one of the things is being pressed, we navigate to screen 2, right? So whenever screen 2 is open, so we want to use this oh sorry, you click on the info screen, then you'll see that when info screens opens, so that means whenever the screen pops up, what you want to display. So we want to display, we want to change the image, the place label, and also the description label according to the data captured from the Google spreadsheet, right? So if you see that there's image here, image, so you want to set the image picture 2. So we're going to set the image picture 2. Likewise, you can actually duplicate this. We want to set the place label text. Then duplicate this. We want to change the description label text 2. Right? There are 3 components, right? There are 3 components, right? The image, place label, and also description label. Now we need to change those accordingly to the correct data viewers list that you actually click. Now where are we getting this data from? From the data source, right? Our data source is the Google spreadsheet. So you click on data sources. So do you see this one, get values? Get values, do you see this? So whenever you use this, you are actually getting those values from those data sources. So click this and put it here. Why this is like this? Data sources, take this, put it here. Vara, you should be able to see. Are you able to see? You should be able to see sheet 1, and then The image picture, where you want to get it from? You want to get it from the image, right? Just to know why mine. But you all are able to see, right? Get value. You need to duplicate the same thing. This one. No idea why. But yours is okay, right? You are able to see. What's wrong? Oh, why? Okay, so get value from the data sheet, and this is sheet 1. So this one picture, this will, when you click in, it will actually show you all those name of the column. So image means you want to get from the image, right? Label place, you want to actually get from place. This is correct. You get the name. Description, you want to get it from the description. Is that okay? Now here, whenever you are actually whenever you have created this Google spreadsheet, each row actually has a row ID. It has an ID. Now that row ID is not 2, 3, 4, not following this. This is not row ID. It is a randomly generated number which is specified for that particular row. So we need to capture that row ID. So how can we actually capture the row? Each row has a unique row ID. So where can we actually capture that? We need to capture it from the screen 1. So in screen 1, do you see that there is this row ID? So whenever you click on any item, you will actually capture that row ID's value. But we also need to capture that row ID, right? So do we have only one items? We have 3, right? We have 3. So which means we each time a unique row, whenever you click a particular item, that row ID will be passed. So we want to create a variable that will hold this row ID. So if you want to create variables, then you need to go to variables. We want to initialize a variable, and this variable name we will call it as place ID. We will initialize it to empty string first. Okay, and what we will do is we want to set, we're going to put it here, because whenever an item is clicked, whenever that item is clicked, we actually navigating to the next screen, right? But before we navigate to the next screen, we need to make sure that the variable place ID, you capture the row ID. So take and put it here. Is that okay? So which means what this block is actually doing, what this block is actually doing now, whenever any item is clicked, it will save, because you can choose 1, 2, 3, whichever. Whenever you click a particular item, that item's row ID will be now set to the app variable, and then it will navigate to the info screen. So now in the info screen, this ID you need to use which one? You need to use the app variable place ID. So you duplicate this and duplicate this. So what is this doing? This is actually whenever info screen opens, it will set the image picture to get the value from places in sheet 1 and in image column, but for which row? For row ID, whatever the specific ID that you chose. So accordingly, it will take the value on that particular ID only. So if you click on live test, oh sorry, you need to go to screen 1 and then you need to go to live test from here. You have like this, right? So let's say if you click on decentrum, let's say purposely we click on United Sports Arena. Do you see that? It comes like this. It changes the picture, it changes the thing, and also the description based on that row ID. You are able to get in your Thunkable Live. Everyone okay? Okay or okay? What is the issue now? You have this, of course, this, let's say if you click this, it opens, but then it's stuck in this page, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, let's add a button which can go to next, next, next. That means whatever in the list, when we click button, it can go to next, 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 next automatically. Okay, so the next button should be in the info screen, because here is where the image name, a place description comes. So drag the button. This button comes up, so I want the button to be down, so I'm going to drag and put it down. So the button comes down. So you can rename this button as next button, and the text you can actually change to next. And feel free to change whatever color that you want. Everyone okay up to this point? Now listen carefully, because the logic behind it and the programming to go next is not as simple as it is. Because, okay, let's wait. Okay, so basically in this info screen we are having the next button, right? So when you click on next button, when next button is clicked, what we want to do? We want to go to the next row ID, right? But the issue here is the row ID is not simply a plain number. It's not 1, 2 like that. So that complicates. If it's a normal index 1, 2, 3, what we can do, we can just simply add 1 to the index, and when we click next, it will call the next row, next row, next row. But here that is not the case. So what we are going to do is we are going to try to create a list, the app variable list. We're going to create the an ID list where it contains all the row IDs. So we're going to create two variables. The first variable is the ID list. Currently we have 3 IDs, so we were going to have 3 lists. Later on, since some of you requested to have your group project discussion, so we will stop halfway, and maybe not today, maybe next week, we will actually show you how the row ID looks like. It's actually quite long. It's not it's not a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 variables. The first variable is the ID list, where it will contain the list of all the IDs. And then we're going to create another one, which is the index. Index is the numbering. So when we set index, then it becomes easier for us, right? We can use that index to add 1. And that index will refer to the ID list. Are you able to follow? So we're going to create 2 variables. Let's create the first one and duplicate this. 2 variables. So the first one, remember, we don't know what is the content of the ID. So we're just going to create an ID list. This will contain all the ID that is captured, this variable. So this variable, what is the nature of this? Is it a integer, is it a string, or is it a list? It's a list. So we are going to create an empty list. Initializing. And then the next variable, this is the index. We're gonna keep the index. So index, what is the nature of index? Is it a string, is it an integer, or is it a list? Guys, index is what? String, number, or list? It's number. So we're going to initialize it to 0. We're going to initialize it to 1. Here the index starts from 1. So I'm not able to follow up to this point. So now the first thing that we want to do when the screen opens, of course, the earlier one, whenever you press the one of the any of the list items in the data viewers list, it will capture that ID and it will display here. No problem. There was no issue, right? It will show correctly. But when I want to click next, we want to go to the next one. So what we need to do is, remember that we have actually created this variable ID list. So now we need to capture all the IDs and put it inside this list. So how can we actually capture the IDs? So we want to set this one, app variable ID 2. This one, move down. We want to get all the list of values right from our data source. So when you click on data source, there is a list of values. Where is it? Yes, do you see this one? You are able to get all the list of values. So take this and put it here. So we are looking for list of values in this sheet. Wait, hold on. This is sheet 1 and this one. This is important. You click. Do you see that now there is one additional ID, right? This is, we didn't create this, but this is actually the ID. You are able to capture the ID. So that means all the values, all the IDs now will be set to the variable place ID. Is that okay? So now when the button is clicked, you want to now set the index. So we want to actually set the variable index to the first app variable place ID that you actually get. So how can we do that? So we click on variables. So click on here. This is app variable index. So this app variable index, we are going to find what is the first occurrence of the ID. So if you look in the list, there is an block that, well, this one. In the list, you are able to find what is the first ID that you receive. So you can use this, put it here. This list you remove because this is not the list that we are looking at. We are going to look at the variable app ID. Sorry. So remove. Oh, sorry, not this one. Place ID. Okay. Sorry, this is not place ID, this is ID list. Because we have the variable ID here, right? The ID list. We want to capture all the rows ID into the variable ID list. And then what we're going to do now, we're going to set the index. Now we have the ID list. We have captured 3 ID list. 3 IDs that we have. Now we're going to assign the index for these 3 IDs. So what we're going to do, we're going to set the index to in list the first occurrence of item. So what is the list that we're actually searching for? This is, we are looking in at the ID list. So what this is doing is, it is actually setting the index in that app variable ID list. This one you have 3 lists, right? So just now, whatever item that you click just now, it passes a particular ID, right? That ID, it finds that ID in that list and sets that as the first one. Is that okay? Are you able to follow this? So you are setting the app variable index, which is the first index, 1, to in the list of ID list, whereby the first occurrence of the app variable place ID. Where are we getting this app variable place ID? From the previous page, right? Whichever items that you click, that ID will be passed here, and that will be set as your first index. Is that okay? That will be set as your first index, the list. So now, in order for you to actually prepare the next one, you need to increase the index by 1, because remember, this is the next button, right? Whenever you click next, it should go to the next. So by right, there should be an operator for you to be able to increase the variable index by 1. So now you can do it because the variable index is a number, right? So we can set, sorry, why is not coming? we can set the app variable index. We want to increase it by 1 so that next, when you click next, it will go to the next one. So this is a math operator, so you need to have 1 plus 1, but this one, instead of 1, we are going to replace it with a variable index. So you're setting the app variable index to app variable index plus 1. Right? In this way it keeps on adding. So now it'll point to the next one, and then it'll point to the next like that. Able to follow? But here there's also an issue, right? You cannot be doing this in a loop. You cannot keep on adding. That needs to have a segment where you check for the maximum length of variable, right? So how can you actually check? So you need to set a condition, a control condition. If we have already reached the maximum of the if we already reach the maximum of the ID list, the length of the ID list, then you should initialize back the variable index to what is the starting point? What is the starting point of the index? Guys, what is the starting index number? Not 0, we initialize it to 1. What? There we initialize it to 1, not 0. So if it's already exceeded, then we need to initialize it back. So here we need to use the comparative thing. So it's under the logic. So if the app variable index, right? If the app variable index, right? Because currently we are adding 1 to the app variable index, right? If the app variable index, if it's larger than the length of the ID, this is a list, right? So if you have 3, then you have 3 lah. There is a function where you can find out what is the length of that list. So if you click on the list, there is do you see this length of? Put it here, but this one you remove. And the length of what? Which variable? ID list. If app variable index, if it's more than the length of variable ID list, variable ID list contains the number of IDs. If there's 3 IDs, then it's 3. If it's more than 3, what you should do? You should make it 1 back. So if more means, then what you should do? You should set back the app variable index into, should send it back to, set it back to 1. Is that okay? Are you able to follow the logic? If no means, if the app variable index, if it's smaller than the length means, what you should do? You should now capture what is the next index ID, right? So how can we actually do that? We look at the variables. We need to set the variable place ID, because the variable place ID is what will be used to replace this image, picture, text, all right. So now you need to set the variable place ID to a new list based on the new index, right? So there is a get function. You can actually get values from the list. So if you go to the list, there is, where is it? Yes, do you see this? There's a get. You can actually get values. So put it here, not this list. So in which list do we have all the ID? ID list, right? That is the list that we have. So in this list, we need to get number. What do you think we should replace here? Remember that we want to get the next row ID. What should it be here? Not ID plus 1. What should be here? We have the ID list. What is associated together with the ID list that works together? Sorry? What is that called? Alah, depan mata je. What is it called? Sorry? Index. Right? You have a list of items. Then you have the index to each of the item, right? So now you have the variable list ready. How do you want to call it? Based on index, right? So remember, you have already increased the index by 1. So what should be the variable here? Index. Can't you add this now? Add 1 ready, right? The new variable index. So you are getting the next index out of harm. The index is like this. One side index, you see there's 1, 2, 3. This is the index. The row is, you have row. How if I say look at row 1, then you will refer to row 1, right? So the index works like that. So index 1, row ID 1. Index 2, row ID 2. Index 3, row ID 3, like that. You're using the index to view. So now you're able to capture the next place ID. So what you should do? When you click next, it should also show the same thing, right? Same thing as this 3. 1, 2, 3. It should change accordingly. So we can duplicate. Let me make it smaller. Duplicate all the 3 blocks. Does it make sense? This is when you click the next button. The entire operation is when you click the next button, it actually sets whatever the earlier one you clicked as a first index, and then it increases the index by 1, and then it checks whether is the current index value larger than the length of the ID list. If yes, then you set back to 1. If no, then what you should do? You need to set the place ID by capturing the place ID, the place ID from the ID list using the new index, which is +1 already. So based on the new place ID, you'll get the other images. So now when you go to screen 1 and if you go to the live test, if you click this centrum, comes like this, right? Then when you click next, do you see it changes? Click next, it changes. Click next, it goes back to 1. Right? Do you see that? Is that okay? Okay, there are more to this, but since you asked for your group discussion, so we will actually stop here, and you're all free to do your whatever group discussion. Next week, we will do what with this app is we will simplify this using function, and then we will include a map function. we'll include a map function. And remember, in the Google spreadsheet, we also have the latitude and longitude, right? So in next week, we will see how do we include a map function. How do we set the starting point of the map function? How do we set the starting zoom point of view? And then how can we actually add the markers? How can we add the markers? There's a pin. When you open whenever you open it, all these three will have markers. And then if you put your if you touch on top of the marker, it'll show the name of the place and also description as per your Google spreadsheet. So next week that will be our last workshop, and if we have time next week, I'll show you another simple one where we can actually use the weather API to capture. We're going to use the API to capture the data. These API calls are very, very powerful. API calls are very, very powerful whenever you want to develop a mobile apps, or later on in your final year project, which is 3 years from now. If you are able to incorporate the API function call and things like that, that will be very, very good. Okay, any questions so far? Yes.
This Saturday we have replacement class, right?
This Saturday, no, we don't.
Because it starts this Saturday. Because of the election week.
Yeah, I know that it's supposed to have this Saturday, but Saturdays I can't.
Oh.
Because I already have class. So that's why I gave the series of videos, remember? Because we don't have class, so that's why. Yeah, that is, so did you all do, let me just stop the recording.